Hey guys, introducing the Harder Than Life coaching program. If you're ready to transform your business, elevate your fitness, and deepen your personal relationships, including the one with yourself, our Harder Than Life coaching program might just be what you need. This is not a generic one-size-fits-all solution. It's a tailored coaching experience designed to help you achieve your unique goals. We're taking applications now. So if you're serious about making a change, DM me on Instagram at kellysiegel.71, the word coaching, to learn more and apply. Let's grow together, truly become harder than life. I'm Kelly Siegel, and this is Harder Than Life, a podcast about self-love, self-awareness, business, and health. We tell outrageous stories and boil everything down to simple, practical advice you can start using today. Let's get living. Welcome to another episode of the Harder Than Life podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Siegel, and today I have the honor of speaking with a truly inspirational figure, Coach JV, known for his relentless dedication to personal growth, financial mastery, and mindset transformation. Coach JV has empowered countless individuals to break through their limitations and achieve greatness. His journey is a testament to the power of resilience, determination, and unwavering belief. Sounds like me. Let's deep dive into the story and uncover the secrets of living a life that's harder than life itself. Welcome, Coach JV.
Thank you, brother. It's an honor to be here, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, we were talking about cryptocurrency before, but man, your story's just, it's wild. So I'm going to jump right into it. So if anybody's faint of heart, this first question is going to hit you right in the gut. So can you share the impact of reading the book, The Secret, had on you after you attempted suicide?
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking. Yeah. On December 18, 2006, I attempted suicide. I always say committed suicide because John Vasquez died and JV was born. That's why I call myself JV. I'll go a little bit further before that. I clean cut dude, got out of the military, became a bodybuilder. I thought that was going to be my life. Bodybuilder, I wanted to be an actor. The acting part wasn't working out too well, but I really enjoyed bodybuilding. It was really deep into it and ended up getting, I was a clean cut dude, drank with my buddies, things like that. But I ended up getting a leg injury and did a little quad tear, and the doctor prescribed me opiates, Vicodin. And I had some deep insecurity issues with my own self, a lot of trauma as a child. And I took that first pill. I'll never forget it. And I remember exactly where I was driving when I took the first pill, the feeling, the vibration I got. It was like, holy cow. It was like this euphoria feeling. And it gave me this confidence I never had before. And it's kind of a story of a lot of opiate addicts. And so it went from taking it for the injury, to taking it to train, to taking it to go to sleep, taking it to 2 pills a day, 3 pills a day. And I became a full-blown opiate addict. And from about 2004 to 2006, I went from clean cut guy running a solid company to a junkie, a full blown junkie. Couldn't even take care of my 3-year-old daughter. July 2026, I had about $65,000 in my bank account, running a business, doing decent. And by December 18, 2006, I had ran through every single dime in my account. I was actually at Walmart buying Christmas presents for my daughter. I was super high, and all I could think about was getting drugs every day. And I went to go buy Christmas presents for my daughter, swiped my debit card, declined, swiped my credit card, declined, swiped all my business cards, declined. And I had never in my life overdrafted an account ever. I was always very responsible with my finances, but I was so high for such a long period of time, over a year, just a functional drug addict. I went to the bank and all my accounts were overdrafted. So now my accounts are overdrafted. My businesses ran into the ground. I've spent all my money and the gig was up. And at that point I was a full blown junkie. And so I decided to do the most selfish thing I could have done, especially having a young daughter. I decided to take my own life. And interesting thing, I didn't really have a spiritual background or connection to God or anything in that moment. And I knelt down and prayed for the first time in my life. And I put out a mattress, like a blow up mattress in my office, took a large amount of opiates and I thought I was dead. I get the Razor flip phone. It has that distinctive ring to it, that little flip phone that has a little screen on the front, and it rings. And I remember thinking, thoughts become things, right? First thing I thought was, I can't even kill myself correctly. And it was my mom. And so I picked up the phone, and this is all my mom said. So me and my mom had a phenomenal relationship, and we do now again, but it was just torn. I was stealing money from people. I was just a horrible person. And she said, I don't know what the F is going on with you. Very classy lady. So that was kind of weird for her to talk like that. She said, but you need to read a book called The Secret. Your grandma told me to tell you. So I went and got the book, The Secret, man. And I realized, I sat down, they had that CD-ROM thing used to have, I put it inside of my computer, and I sat in my office, and I'm like, I created all of this. I asked for every bit of this because my thoughts aligned with what I was living. And so I was like, well, I was, getting evicted from my apartment, losing my business, couldn't take care of my 3-year-old daughter. And I decided to reverse my thoughts. And that's how it all started. So I was like, well, I don't really have anything else to go up. And so I started changing my thoughts. I'm affirmations. I'm powerful. I'm strong. I'm worthy. I'm abundant. And my life started to radically, after rehabbing and doing all that stuff, but my life radically transformed from that moment on after reading The Secret.
So John, you keep calling yourself a junkie. That was all from Vicodin?
Well, no. It started with Vicodin.
I've taken Vicodin in my days because I'm like, hey, hold on a second. It doesn't do all that, does it?
It started with Vicodin. Then I went into, that wasn't working. So then I went into Nubane, and then it went into ecstasy, cocaine. I was doing anything to get high. I was hanging around with the wrong crowd. So it was like, I was taking ecstasy, Nubane, cocaine, Ambien. Typical when someone becomes an addict, you just start looking for the high, right? You're trying to capture that main high again. And it was just a slippery slope. And it was with having an addictive personality and trauma as a child that was never healed. It was a slippery slope. And so, it was, to me in that moment, it was the only way out. And I'm glad it didn't work out. So.
It sounds like a party, though. I'm not going to lie. I've been there. So no, I'm going to make light of it because it's we're measuring the gain and not the gap. How long ago are we talking about? How many years ago was all this?
17 years ago, December 18th, 2006. Yep. 17 years ago.
You said that. Nice. Yeah. So here you are, can't buy presents for your kid, for your daughter, and you ended up going and getting a degree and pursuing a career in banking. How in the heck did you end up there?
The story is wild, man. It's all, again, it goes back to The Secret, energy, vibration, right? So the main thing that I wanted to get my shit together. I say that all the time. Warriors rise, get your shit. I just wanted to get my shit together. I wanted to amend my relationship with my daughter. I wanted to be a good father. I wanted to follow the whole aspect of, I was like, okay, this whole entrepreneurship, being an actor, bodybuilder, that's a pipe dream, right? And so I did the thing. I went to school, got a job, got a 401k. Well, what happened was the guy who helped me through this mentally said, hey, listen, I have a job for you. I said, I needed a job. I said, thank you so much. I still have the suit that I bought at Goodwill, a thrift store. And I went and bought a suit, oversized suit. And I sat down with this lady named Lori Schmidt. And I've been practicing The Secret, vision boards. I was doing all these odd jobs, and I sat with her, and I had no idea I was interviewing for a banker job. So I sit down, I interview with her, and I said, at the end of it, she just asked me all these questions about people skills and stuff. And I said, if you give me this job, I'll be the best employee you've ever had. So I left, and I was driving. I remember I had this little beat up Honda Civic and the silver bullet, and I was driving, and I pick up the phone, and 15 minutes later, she's like, we want to hire you. And I'm like, yes. And I'm thinking like janitor, man. I'm like, oh, I just need a job. And she's like, I said, is what? She's like, a banker. And I'm like, a banker? I have dyslexia, severe dyslexia. So I'm thinking, what the hell? And she says, we like your energy. That was my first, being exposed to the word energy or vibration. And she's like, we like your energy, and we can train you. So they put me through banker training, and I used all the secret techniques, discipline, consistency. And for 17 years, I've been applying these techniques to my life. And I went from banker to manager to executive manager to be a vice president. Then they put me in banking school, ended up getting a 4-year degree, and then going to CBA executive banking school. And then my great awakening happened in banking, though. And then I realized, I'm like, this isn't life, man. I was miserable, absolutely miserable in the corporate world.
Keep going. That's my next question was, what was the spiritual awakening that got you? You were, so just to highlight that, you were the VP. So you went from interviewing for you didn't even know what all the way through to being the VP, and then something happened. I don't want to spoil it. That's the question. Sure. And it told you a decision to leave and talk about that.
Yeah. So I realized that this is a thing that my soul had to heal. So here I am. I'm now chasing this new addiction, which is the next promotion, the next car, the next house. I thought that's what life is, right? You go to school, get a job. I got the nice house. Each time I got a promotion, I got a bigger house, 535 by BMW, the cars. Not that I don't like those types of things, but I realized I was chasing this esoteric thing. So then I ended up going to CBA Executive Banking School in Greenville, South Carolina, which is Furman University. We didn't go to Furman University, but the executives from all over the world would fly there and take over their campus, basically. And we would use their campus during the summer. And so we'd learn to be executive bankers. And so when I was there, it was the most beautiful place I'd ever been in my life. And it was a liberal arts, religious studies college, right? So when I was there, I was noticed that all the executives, and it was almost all of them, couldn't see how beautiful this campus was. And at this point, it's funny. I had started listening to Joe Rogan, and I say, if you listen to Joe Rogan, you end up spiritual. But I started listening to Joe Rogan, and he was talking about plant medicines and things like that. And so I started to dive into that realm of the world, and I started to kind of open up this spiritual side of myself that I never knew existed. Well, I met this gardener there that sounds like a Mr. Miyagi story, but this is a true story. So there's this gardener there that was gardening, and he loved the garden there. I mean, the garden was so beautiful, but I noticed none of the executives could see this. They're partying every single night, showing up. I'm like, is your life really that bad that you show up drunk every day to school? They got kids and families. People are making $250,000 to $1 million, about to be CFOs, CEOs. It just seemed like everybody was they had to have some sort of stimulation or some sort of outside stimulation. So I'm talking to this gardener, and I'm like, man, this is so beautiful. He's like, I talked to him. He's like, oh, do you like being a banker? I said, yeah. I said, I'm my next thing is regional president. He's like, oh, wow, that sounds neat. You're shooting for that, huh? And I said, you just seem so happy. He goes, I have everything I need, man. I come and have this beautiful garden. Me and my wife have been married for X many years, and I got my grandkids, and he just seems so happy. And I was just like, man, to me, that felt like life. And there was this Buddhist temple there. You can go up this stairway, and I went up there, and I would sit there every morning. I'd go work out, and I'd sit there. And this is what I learned, which is my sacral. I would start to get this gut feeling. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here, man. This isn't life. Like, this isn't me chasing this next promotion. This doesn't feel right to me. Like, this isn't what I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be a banker. I'm supposed to be something else. And so I started to follow that intuitive tug. And I walked out in 2017. You can imagine my parents, right? Like Cinderella story, from suicide junkie to VP at a bank. There's many VPs there, but VP at a big, large Fortune 500 company, CBA Executive Banking School, degree, the house by a golf course, 15,000 square foot lot, the casita, all the stuff. My parents are like, yeah, look at this guy. And I called my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I'm leaving the bank. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go pursue being a book author and a podcast host. And she's like, what are you doing? And they were right for the first 4 years. And it didn't work out, but I'm glad I did, man. So my life is completely different now. So I walked out in 2017 and went on the spiritual journey. So
you're in Arizona, right?
Yes. Yep.
So where did you live? So the reason why I'm getting this, the Radical Network, who produces our podcast, is in Greenville. So I've been there a couple of times. It is absolutely stunning. The people are kind. Our producer is from a town right by there. Yep. I love going there, except the airport is so small that if there's any issue, like a fog, a rain, they shut it down. So I had to drive through the mountains the last time from Knoxville, Tennessee, just to get there. It was not fun, but it is beautiful. I like spending time there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Make sure you guys follow Coach JV on Instagram. It's just Coach JV. On TikTok, it's Coach JV, and as well as Twitter. So we're going to get into the Facebook and YouTube handles, and right now, because you have this amazing academy, this is really what brought me to you, which is what are some of the biggest challenges you face when starting this 3T Warrior Academy with your boy Caesar? How do you even say his name? Quintanilla?
Quintanilla. Yeah, we call him Caesar.
But tell us about tell us about the 3T Warrior Academy. That sounds like a blast.
Thank you. So in 2017, I walked out. I started a podcast called the JV Impacts, which evolved into Coach JV's podcast, 3T Warrior Academy. So I didn't have any social media at all. I had a Facebook for a little bit while I was an executive. They encouraged us not to have them. But so when I left, I had no social media. I didn't have a podcast. I didn't have YouTube or anything like that. So I left, and I thought I was going to be a famous book author, motivational speaker, because I had done all this amazing stuff and moved up to executive so fast. So for 6 months, I built my first first program, which was 3T Fitness. I went through online coaching, spent all this money getting these coaches, online gurus. I launched my first program on January 18th, 2018. And I launched my program, and guess how many people signed up? 0.
Oh,
Then I launched it again.
I'm going to stop you right there. What happened?
Yeah.
What'd you learn?
I learned that in the banking world, I was popular. People knew who I was, but I was heading into a whole new world. Like, I thought because I had 300 followers on social that it would just sell. I thought you have a product, it'll sell. I didn't realize that there was no brand. There was no story. There was no voice. Nobody even knew who I was. Right. So I launched this program, and there's nobody there to buy the program, right? I thought that if you build a program and it's a good program, people will buy it. But I realized in the space that I'm in, it's all about who you truly are, right? Who you be, right? They're buying who you are. And so that was part of my growth process. And so I launched it 5 times over the next 2 years, and it failed all 5 times. So during this time though, 2018, I had cashed out my whole 401k, building the business, trying to make it happen, hiring coaches, getting scammed, going through all this stuff. And then in 2018, I met an investor, and we started the 3T Fitness Warrior Academy over here, the fitness facility. And we dove in. We went all in, man. And we actually hired Alex Hormozi in 2019, went through his program, and it was the greatest thing I ever did. The skills I learned through his program is called Gym Launch. We went through his Gym Launch program. Mm-hmm. And just the small skills I learned just from Gym Launch, we scaled our business quickly to a 6-figure company. So we created what's called the 3T Warrior Academy. Then all of a sudden the pandemic hits, right? Cinderella story. I get this business going. We got a 6-figure company rocking and rolling, and they shut our business down because we're a gym for COVID. And so I'm like, what is this? So every single roadblock that could have been placed in front of me did. And in 2020, I had to move back in with my parents, man. So I had been investing in crypto though, and I wasn't going to touch it. I'm like, I knew where crypto was going. And so I held on to my crypto, knocked on my parents' door, and I said, because they took away my ability to earn income, basically, and so I knocked on my parents' door, moved back in with my parents, humbled myself. And I drew in that moment, I drew a line in the sand. You got to imagine my parents. Think about this. Cinderella story, became an executive, walk out, put my family at risk at 43 or 40 years old, at 43, moving back in on their couch. But I looked at my mom in the eyes and I said, our life will never be the same. So I drew a line in the sand. I became more committed to the pain of change and staying the same. And I learned that I had to rewire my brain. So in that moment, even though I was a banker, I still didn't know how to build wealth. So I made it my commitment. I went to the library and I started reading every single book I could get my hands on around wealth and how do the 1% operate. And so I started to operate at a very small level, like the 1%, like speculative assets, pulling my profit down the risk pyramid. And I started doing that in 2020. And from 2020 to 2024, our life is completely different. So we have, we scaled our companies. I no longer work in the companies. I work above the companies. But as I scaled, though, I didn't buy Lambos and Ferraris and big houses. I reinvested back into the capital markets. And so in 4 short years, we went from completely broke on my parents' couch to what I consider financial freedom and in the future generational wealth.
A remarkable story. It's
Thank you, man.
I believe that I needed to hear this today because I've launched our coaching program probably 4 times and we've pulled it back, not because people don't want it. It's because I'm so busy. Yeah. We have an IT company that helps cybersecurity, and obviously with all these cyber attacks, we just every time I want to dedicate time to it, we get slammed. And so I'm working on some automation to do this, and we're going to launch it. I think now the 5th time, and we're going to get it. We got it now. I figured out 4 times of how not to do it.
Yes.
And it's so funny you talk about Hormozi. If those of you that aren't watching this on YouTube, you can turn it on. He looks like the older brother of Alex. But I love that. Not that you look old. You look like him, and which is a great thing. He's a handsome guy, really super smart. Great, those of you don't follow Hormozi, man. You own a business. We're using it. I think I told you this when we did pre-show that I'm using that for his Grand Slam offer in our IT business, and it's exploding. As a matter of fact, we used Grand Slam. It's trustntm.com/Grand Slam. We're getting leads left and right. And we followed what he recommends to a T from afar. So the moral of the story here is what I'm getting at is don't give up and keep pivoting, keep persisting, and good things happen. And then on top of it,
Yeah.
you can use that Grand Slam offer for anything. So
Yes.
listen, and it's free. So he gives it away for free. I downloaded his book,
Yep.
a $100 million offer. Listen
Yeah.
to it. Went to the places he told you to go listen, and boom, get it for free. So
Yeah. And I
this
think
is what.
another
Go ahead.
important part of that too is with success leaves clues, right? So
Hmm.
when I met Alex and I went through his program, it's like he gave me the cheat code. A lot of people are afraid to, oh, I don't want to spend 16. I spent 16,000 on his coaching, which made me a millionaire. I mean, it was
Oh my
like,
God.
yeah,
You
I mean, think about it.
literally did the old school program. That's what he started out. It was 3,000 and then
Yep.
it went to 16. You're
Yep.
early.
I paid $16K to go through his program, which made me a millionaire. Just the skills I learned. It was for a gym, but all the skills were crossover skills. And I think people, if anybody's sitting there, like you're talking about coaching, when people, like I went from, my private coaching was $900 when I started. Now it's $25K for private coaching, right? Then we have mid-tier programs, but they're paying $25K to get the cheat code of 17 years compressed into 4 months. Right. And I think that's what a lot of people are like. If someone asked me one time, if you had $10,000 left, and they're always asking me about investing, I'm like, I'd put it in self-development. I would literally put it into I'd hire somebody who's where I want to be, and I would pay them to get there. I'd say, hey, I got 10 grand. How much of your time will that buy? Right. And a lot of people, self-development is one of the greatest tools in the world. And at first I had to use a library, right? Then I advanced into making enough money. Actually, when I went through Alex's program, that was like a Hail Mary for us. I maxed a credit card to go through it, and it was the best thing ever. There's all these moments. That's what you just said. Don't give up, because almost every moment I had, it was a Hail Mary moment, and I just kept going, and it always works out. It doesn't work out the way I want it to, but it always seems to work out.
I would argue it works out better because it's more aligned with the universe wants you to do. And I will tell you this much. They're not giving up. It's just, if you listen to any Hermosi stuff, you just told the whole story. So it's fantastic. I want to deep it dive and really drill into the 3T Warrior Academy, because that's what drew me to you.
Yeah.
And so let's describe the mission and the vision of 3T Warrior Academy. But wait, let me just go back and remind everybody that Coach JV on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, but on YouTube and Facebook, it's 3T Warrior Academy.
Yep.
So just Google the guy. He's everywhere. He's a handsome man. Doesn't have sleeves like I like to do. I wouldn't even have a shirt on if they didn't make me. So I'm with you on that. I love that you dress casually, just like Alex does. It's, you let your actions speak for your dress. And I'm pleased. So go back to the mission and the vision of 3T Warrior Academy. Let's sing it loud and proud, because it's freaking amazing.
Yeah, it's to help people. So number one, it's a culmination of inside out approach to finances. We have become like a financial education company. It started out as mindset, subconscious mind programming, goal setting, vision creation. But we found that that's all great, but we still need to protect our family financially, spiritually, mentally. So what we created is what we call our 5P framework. And so our 5P framework, along with my 120-day challenge, the 120-day challenge is getting your shit together spiritually, mentally, and physically: fasting, exercise, nutrition, goal setting. And then we go into what's called the 5P framework, which is number one, financial literacy, like learning. We have to learn what money actually is. They don't teach us in America. Number two is financial literacy. Then we need to learn financial discipline, budgeting, debts, and non-negotiables. Then number three is we need to learn how to take sovereignty of our wealth, how to invest. Number four, we need to learn how to diversify so we can protect our family across market volatility. And then number five, we teach people how to protect their wealth, which I use what's called the Rockefeller waterfall system. So we can build generationally. So it's a generational shifter program. It's rewiring the foundation to end up. It's basically taking them through what I did, how I got off my parents' couch. And as I evolve as a human being, I come back and teach. That's all it is. As I learn new things, like, 2 years ago, we weren't even talking about Rockefeller waterfall trust systems, but now I only teach what I embody and what I do. And so the program evolves as we evolve as human beings. And so we've helped over 8,000 people worldwide. We call it getting their shit together. What we say is get your shit together. We're talking to ourselves endearing. And right now in the world, it is the most critical time to become a warrior in a garden versus a gardener in a war, right? That's what we're teaching people to do. Like, I am training in fighting. I'm training in, my fasting, HIIT training, my finances, everything. So I always say I'm trained to be a warrior in a garden versus a gardener in a war. I think we have a lot of gardeners in a war right now.
I was just going to repeat that, and you did. So, what was it? The 5 P's. I got that. What was it? It was a 120-day challenge or 128?
The first part of it, the foundation is our 120 day challenge. So it's 4 months. I found that taking people through the first, like we used to do a 4-week program and then a 6-week program. And there's that 20 to 1 days to create a habit. I feel like it's changed. I don't have any science to back this other than thousands of people coaching, is that 4 weeks, people can't change their behaviors anymore. It's like it takes 4 months of solid rewiring, applying discipline and consistent. I feel like you have to be disciplined and consistent for a long enough period of time to reach that new foundation, right? So that's why we take them through 4 months. And so we take them through phases. Like there's phase 1. It's like, why do you believe what you believe, right? And are you willing to let go of those belief systems? Because you can't have your foot on the brake and gas at the same time. You can't say, well, our goal is to build $100 million company, right? So $100 million ecosystem in 10 years. But I can't sit there and have a weak state of mind. I can't have a lax state of mind. You can't have your foot on the brake and gas at the same time. So when I was coaching people, they're like, well, I want this physique, but they don't even have self-confidence, right? So it's the foundational part first. Everything what we do, financial, spiritual, and mental, it's rewiring the brain first.
I want to understand that a little deper, but I want to quote some things that I've read. So it takes 66 days to form a habit, is what the studies show. So a lot of people like to try to cheat code it, say 21, say 30, and then some people go as much as 90, but it's 66 days. So you're doing double that, which not only makes it a habit, it just makes it literally ingrained into your life. So I love that time frame. My whole life changed. It was about 180 days is what I went. So I'm a little bit thick-headed. I got to do things difficult, but unpack the mindset portion of the program for me. Because to me, listen, health, let's work out, let's eat right, let's put things in our body. You drink a lot of water. Wealth, you've dived into that. Dived. I can't speak. You dove into that already. People love the mindset, and so do I. And I'm going to tell you right now, we are in the toughest time. I'm in a 2-year stint of just getting my teeth kicked in. And they say in a 10-year span, you usually have 6 good years, 2 horrible years, and 2 really good years, like fantastic years. It's those 2 years that go bad. There's a chance you go out of business. Now, we're not having a chance to go out of business, but man, I am trying to launch this brand. Well, I've launched it. It's big. We're top 10 podcast and things are going well, but boy, if you looked at my schedule, you'd be passed out, most people. So it's that riding that wave. So I'm in the middle of it. And if I didn't do the work on my mindset and have these rituals and really work out every single day, I would be struggling. I'm struggling right now. I'll be completely blunt. Yeah. You would know it because to me, that's life. So walk through what your teachings, and someone who's listening to this, and we got a lot of men that listen and they go, I like this Coach JV, but I don't know what the heck this mindset. I don't want to sit around and do woo-woo stuff all day. Tell them what it actually entails.
Yes, it's definitely not what you said. Something powerful. I mean, you positioned it perfectly. You said in a 10-year cycle, you're going to have 2 bad years and 2 good years, right? So let's call it a cycle, right? So we come here. So the first, from birth to 8 years old, you're pure subconscious. You're in programming, right? So most men listening to this, the life that you live today, unless you've realized this and you've rewired it and you've created a new life for your family, you're living off of the subconscious programming of your parents, your grandparents, your church, your influences, your coaches, or lack of coaches, or lack of parents. So what we're all living as adults, what I was living before I realized all this was automatic subconscious mind programming. So I thought it was this outside effect. It was like, oh, the world is causing this. No, it was me, my subconscious mind responding emotionally based on what I was programmed. So for example, I had a pretty rough childhood and I had a lot of deep trauma with women and females and as a child. So what was being expressed within the current reality was my trauma. And I didn't know that's what it was. But once I realized, I grew up in poverty. We didn't have a bunch of money. We didn't have a bunch of wealth. So I had poverty programming. I had a lot of trauma as a child. I don't have a great relationship with my father. So there's all these things happening, but I'm trying to reach all this success. I'm trying to build a 7-figure ecosystem, but there's all this doubt, anger, jealousy that's deep inside of me. So when we go to build wealth or we go to build a great relationship with our spouse, we have to look deeply at what is our programming, right? You're not going to have an iPhone 15 with a flip phone. You're just not, it doesn't work. You have to say, okay, I want to have a new operating system. You have to rewire the system. And so how do you do that? You look at the patterns, like you said. What are the patterns that keep showing up in your life? You say, maybe for me, I was an opiate addict, right? This big cycle came forward, which is pretty interesting. This is really neat to talk about. So 17 years ago, it was a leg, or it was before 17 years ago, but it was a leg injury that gave me the opiates, right? That got me addicted. Last year, can't make this story up, I tore my quad really bad during jiu-jitsu, and guess what they presented me? Opiates. So I get the little red bottle. So big, huge cycle came back in my life. They present me the opiates, and I get almost emotional talking about it, because it was a scary moment, man. My leg was effed up. I mean, I still, in a year later, still recovering. And I'm like, what is going on? Now I'm at the peak of my career, just like I was in the other moment. But the difference was, in this cycle, I had different tools, resources, people, places, and environments. I had changed the environment. I had changed the people. I had changed the knowledge. I said, change the skills. I had different discipline, consistent activities. And therefore I was able to overcome that cycle that was presented to me. So if we keep repeating the same things over and over, and everybody's so like crypto, right? Everybody's like, well, JV, when crypto does this, I'm like, nothing's going to change. You get $1 million in crypto. If you have poor spending habits and you have poor behavioral habits, you're going to be even worse. And so that's why when I tell people, like, a lot of people got rich in crypto and they're really broke now because they had poor spending habits. They were going to the strip club, and you're just going to do more of that. And so that's what I mean by rewiring the subconscious. It's being really truthful with yourself and looking yourself in the mirror and being like, do I really want who I truly am today? Now, if you do, you continue those activities, but most people that are trying to grow, they want something different for their lives. And so rewiring means taking a deep self-reflection and asking yourself, why do you believe what you believe? That's really important. So I believe that money didn't grow on trees. Why? Because that's what my dad would say all the time. I believe that to be rich, you had to be a pro athlete or a doctor it was like, that's what I believed. Like, we were middle-class people. We were blue-collar workers. Like, there was no wealth in my family. Oh, that's for rich people, blah, blah, blah. So I literally had to get rid of all the old programming. It almost felt like I was dying to my old self. And then now the new foundation is, now the neat thing about this is, now I'm programming, my daughter's programmed with me because she's 20 now. I have an 8-year-old son, and my son has total wealth programming now. From his birth to 8 years old, the kid has no idea of lack. He already knows what assets and liabilities are. So once we reprogram, we have to reprogram our children, and we reprogram through our actions, because the way we act is how they're going to act as adult. And so that's what I mean by reprogramming. And that cross references financial, spiritual, right? For me, it was like I love all people and all religions. I'm a very spiritual person. I follow Yeshua, Christ, Jesus. I don't follow religion, but for me, it was like we were born Catholic, and there was these rules, and I had to do all these things to get into heaven. And I don't believe that. I believe that I can be a good person. And so that's rewiring, right? And it's important to understand, why do you believe what you believe? And that's all I say to people is, why do you believe what you believe? Once you get to that origin, are you willing to release that? Once you release it, are you willing to do the new activities, like you said, 160 days, long enough period of time to rewire the foundation?
John, talk to me about the feeling when the doctor handed you those pills, and you're full of all, and you're armored with all the tools and habits, because that's what the Heart of Life is all about. Is I started this brand one person, and now I'm growing into a different person. You could hand me a pocket full of drugs and alcohol, and I would just be like laughing, like, yeah, I'm good. I have zero desire. I could be around, and it's just, for me, it feels so empowering. I just want to hear what your take is, because the listeners love this stuff.
Yeah, so so the first exposure to it was in the hospital. They're like, your quad's torn, like we got to get you to a surgeon. And so they gave me I didn't even know they put it in my IV, and so that I felt that this scared me though. I got that euphoric feeling. It was like, whoa, that's familiar. Holy shit, and it felt good. It was wild, and I was like, oh shit. So we go to the doctor and to the surgeon, and he's like, well, I'm going to prescribe you Vicodin, or Percocet, whatever it was, whatever painkiller they gave me, but it has that red cap on it, man. And I was like, I said, is there any way I can not get prescribed it? He's like, do you really think? I mean, I was in so much pain. So he said, why? I said, I'm a former addict. And so he presents, he goes, you're going to need these, man. So what I did is I did feel empowered, exactly like you said, because I had amazing people. I reached out to my partner. She was like, I reached out to her and I said, I'm scared. I'm very, very scared. I, this feels familiar to me. This is awesome. This is why having good people around you is super important. She said, so here's how we're going to do it. She goes, what is a pain pill for? I said, for pain management. She's like, are you in pain? I'm like, a ton of pain. She's like, when is it the hardest to handle? I said, when I'm trying to go to sleep. She said, we're going to take it when you go to sleep. That's it. And that's how I got through it. I just took it right before I went to bed because I wouldn't get that euphoric feeling. And so that's the importance. And our parents have said it. We say it as coaches, like the 5 people you hang out with is going to be the number one deciding factor of your success. Right. And I've informed people. I think I was open with my communication. I was like, listen, guys, I'm a recovering addict, and I don't even like using that word. I'm me now. I'm recovered. And but the beautiful thing about it is after about 5 days, I felt like you did. I'm like, I don't need this. Like, I actually don't need this. And it was a very empowering feeling. But I know it took me a long time to get there. And so I encourage people, if you're feeling like down, it's like your environment's really important. And, if you fall back too, like, if I would have fell back, the beautiful thing is now I have the tools and resources to get back on track. And I'm not looking like one of my things I always say, Jesus said, aim for perfection, knowing it's not possible. Like, we can't live a perfect life, but you can really help yourself live a better life by having the right resources around you.
Oh, I could just listen to you talk forever. The foundation you've built is literally, it explains me. You said success leaves clues, but I tell you, success has help. So kudos to your partner. Is she now your wife, or still?
Just partner. Yeah. So we run our companies together. We're we're building empires together. So who knows what the future holds, but yeah, very grateful for her.
Very unique programming that you have. Once you graduate from the 3T, or once you get where your foundation is good, you then have this Freedom Asset Management company.
Yes.
So explain how that all works into it and what inspired you to create it.
Yeah, so that evolved. It was interesting. It evolved organically because we've had 8,000 people go through our academy. We started investing in pre-IPOs and different types of investments, and we're like, people are coming to us over and over again. Hey, can you just manage my money? We're not money managers. We're educators, and so first thing we did is we went and got licensed. And so it's completely separate from my 3T Warrior Academy, but I started an insurance arm of my organizations, and we all got licensed in insurance because I use insurance. But another thing we did as well is we created what's called 506Bs. And so I created Freedom Asset Management Group, where we go into groups of people go into pre-IPOs. If someone's not an accredited investor, I can get them in a pre-IPO. We're starting our real estate fund. And so taking groups of people into funds so we can maximize our money. And Freedom Asset Management Group also manages all my companies. And so my whole goal was freedom. And so now I have a CFO, a COO, and I basically just oversee the companies now. That's why I called it freedom, because I wanted to be with my kids, man. I really wanted to. So I gave up a lot of income to empower other people. But I realized that's another tool, technique as well. I thought that it was going to make me have less wealth, but it actually made me have way more wealth by giving up, empowering other people. And now I'm off at 2:00 every day with my kids. Every weekend I'm with my kids. And so Freedom Asset Management Group manages all my companies. And then our group investments we're going into.
So you just named a couple of strategies that you use to manage and grow the business. Are there any that you can specifically, I'm going to have Lee Benson on, your most important number. We're a big EOS shop. Do you run any kind of business platform system or any kind of thing like that? Because it sounds like you do.
Like CRMs, like things like that? Like,
No, this is like a business, not a CRM, but a business platform, like a entrepreneurial operating system, or the most important
mm,
number, or sprints, or rocks, or anything like
mm-mm.
that. So
No,
you've
no, like
self-taught yourself a business platform, just so you know. That is
yeah,
learned.
yeah.
It's
Is it?
maybe you're hanging around with
Yeah.
Alex Ramosi too much. So
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, the way we built all, I'm telling you, I give him credit all the time. Hopefully, he hears some of these videos, like just the things I learned for the gym launch and just watching him operate. And then he started a supplement company, and I was one of his top salespeople in that. I got to meet him. Now, if you meet this dude, he is who he says he is, and that empowered me too to be who I am. Right. So it's like he is who he says he is. I remember we met him. He walked right in. It was all business, man. The dude's brain is just like, it's like Elon in business. His brain is beautiful when it comes to business. And so the way that I started taking I took a lot of the gym launch models and put it into my business, like systems, processes, structure, accountability. So I systemize everything. That's what we work to do. And then with AI, holy cow, man, things are getting a lot easier, right? And so for our biggest thing that we're going into now, we're creating what's called 3T Media. So our next phase of our company is we're going to be following like the Patrick Bet Davis model, Brad Lee, that type of thing. We're launching 3T Media. So we're going to quadruple our media distribution. And so they always say attention, right? So that's what we're going to be doing next. So now I'm scaling my media side. And then we want to scale our financial side as well. So
nice. So
yeah.
tell us, we talked a little bit about crypto beforehand, but let's talk about this unique platform that you have and the features of this Merlin, and how you claim to aim to revolutionize the crypto industry with this Merlin. Tell us what it is.
Yeah. So we always work to provide, the way to wealth is to provide solutions for humanity. What we saw is the reason why we profited in crypto. I'm always very cautious when I talk about crypto, because people don't realize it's extremely speculative. A lot of people get wrecked because they're trying to get rich quick. So what we did is I do the opposite of the 99%. Like I have a Warren Buffett style investor in crypto. When there's blood in the streets, I buy. When it's profiting, I sell. Super simple. So when everybody's panicking, I'm like, yes, and I'm buying. Like it just did a huge dip in August. I had money on the sidelines to buy. So how we do that though is crypto goes up really fast. And so everybody's trying to catch the top. There's no wizard that's going to catch the top. That's what we call it, Merlin the wizard. So what we teach people to do is to exit on the way up. So we created Merlin. It's an exit strategy app where you can see because all these exchanges are all over the place. It's an interface. You can see everything in one place, daily gains and losses. And then you can set up exit targets and also look at your tax implications. And so as you're sitting there at dinner, you don't have to be addicted to the market and stare at your phone all day. You can sit there and you're at dinner with your spouse, partner, loved one. You look, oh, cool, I'm 10% away from my target. You go exercise one of your trades, right? And so we help people kind of get not caught up in that staring at your phone all the time, number one. Number two, everything's in one place. And number three, setting exit targets so you're not the exit liquidity at the top. And so that's how we built wealth in crypto, as we got out as people were coming in.
So besides buy low, sell high, what key principles of financial literacy do you believe everyone should know? And also be careful of crypto.
Great question. Yeah. So I use what's called the risk pyramid. And so I love what you just asked. So everybody tells me, oh, I'm diversified in crypto. I'm like, that's not diversification. So number one key is diversification. So for me, I use the risk pyramid. So left side of the risk pyramid, the higher you go up, it's high risk, high return, right? So that's where you can make a large amount of money in a short amount of time. That's the buy low, sell high, right? When I pull profits, I pull it down the risk pyramid to what I use called tier one capital. Tier one capital is bonds. You got insurances at the bottom of that. So I actually use insurance. So I use Index Universal Life. So I insure my money for three reasons: for protect my principal. Rule number one, don't lose money. Rule number two, follow rule number one, Warren Buffett. So protects my principal. I get market-like returns, and I like to borrow against my money tax-free. So I use insurance, and then I diversify in business. I have information technology, attention, education. I have precious metals, silver for barterability. I'm using Bitcoin as my gold. A lot of people think I'm crazy for that, but I use Bitcoin as my gold. And then now we're heading into real estate, which we're going to diversify in real estate, multifamily. We're going to get into some Section 8. We're going to do diversification. So my strategy is use the high risk, high return to diversify into long-term fundamental things that have always been here and test of time. So
I want to clarify. I think I heard you right. You're not buying insurance on your money. You're investing in insurance, correct?
Great question. Yeah. So I put, so you have like things like you have term. So I always protect my family. You have term insurance. You got whole life. And then you have index universal life. Those are just three main ones. A lot of people use whole life for the bank on yourself concept, which the difference between there's a lot of intricacies. The difference between whole life and IUL is whole life is a guaranteed return, right? And the cash value doesn't go to your family. Just the simplicity, index universal life, my cash value minus the death benefit or whatever's been using the cash value goes back to my family. But I also get market-like returns. So it's indexed the market. So 1 year, if the markets collapse, I may get 0%, right? So I'm basically insuring my principal. So whatever I put into it, the insurance guarantees my principal. And then because of tax code 7702A, which was created in 1913, I can borrow at the back end of my life the cash value tax-free. So I'm basically locking in the way that I look at it is I'm locking in my tax rate now because I believe taxes are going to be higher when I retire, just because a lot of people think taxes are high now. They're actually one of the lower tax rates. And depending on which way we don't know politics, but which way this presidential election goes is, if they want all free healthcare and all that stuff, that comes with a lot of people that, there's a lot of implications that you want free healthcare and everything for free. Well, we're going to be paying the taxes on that. So basically I take my wealth or anything I gain and I locking in my tax rate now for the future.
You just made me feel smart because I have several insurance investments and everybody told me I was crazy. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's just funny because I do exactly what you just did with the risk pyramid. I got the real high risk stuff and then I got the real safe stuff. And it's the safe for me is insurance. It's brilliant. I just looked at it the other day. It's like, it's appreciated. It's made a ton of money.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my uncle when I did it, and he's like, "Oh, take it out, put it in the market, you'll make more." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't have to think about this."
Yeah. Well, they say that part doesn't make sense to me when people say the guy who created the 401k was quoted saying, "I made a product that made Wall Street wealthier." And the 401k was created after 1971 when they detached from the gold standard. And think about this. You say you're a CFO at a company, right? And you're sitting there. We detach from the gold standard. Now you have fiat currency, fake money. And they're like, we're going to give people pensions like off this fake money. We're going to start, you're going to be losing money. You're going to be paying people the rest of their life. They're like, let's create a 401k. Let's pass the risk onto the employee and then let's get them to buy our own stocks. So you're literally, go ahead.
Are you recommended not to invest in 401k?
I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying it's not a good product, but I'm just like, you have to think about what a 401k does, right? So it's passing the risk onto the employee, right? You can't touch your money during the whole time. You get penalized. And then at the back end, when you retire, they're going to tax you. So it's the opposite. Insurance, like what you bought, is not sexy in the beginning. On the back end, it goes up, and 401k goes down because you're getting taxed on the back end of your life. So you have $1 million in your 401k. And then whatever your tax implications are. So you're not retiring with $1 million. Say you get a $300,000, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. That shouldn't be part of your strategy. I don't have agree. I don't have it part of it. Go ahead.
If you can get your employer to match percent of it, we always tell everybody, hold on a second. I need, how can people reach out to you? We didn't even talk about that. How do people get a hold of you if they want to hear more?
Yeah, if you just go to my Coach JV, so it's Coach JV _, like to make sure there's so many fake profiles come in financials, but Coach JV _, if you just type me in Google, and if you click my link in my bio, you just fill out what's called a needs assessment. And I have licensed team members all over the world, United States and Canada.
So we've talked about 401ks, crypto, and just all kinds of investments. I really want to deep dive into crypto because it fascinates me. Being in the IT business, and you see whether you're on the left or the right of again, we stay clear of politics, but some people say it's the way to go. Some people don't. But either way, what are the most important factors to consider when investing into crypto?
Yeah, the most important. Well, let's talk about what crypto is. Like, I think that's important because we look at it from a macro perspective and a long-term futuristic perspective. Like, I start with the economy and I'll reverse engineer all the way back into the things that you should really look out for and the things that you should look into. So the first thing we want to look at is Bitcoin when it was created. Bitcoin's inception was in 2009. At the exact same time, this is really interesting. Everybody should write this down and research this. When Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa created BRICS. And they did that to de-dollarize. And so that was actually Goldman Sachs, a writer for Goldman Sachs actually came up with that acronym, and BRICS adopted that. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, after our big financial collapse, decided to start to come together to de-dollarize, because America, if people don't know, America is the dominant currency. Everything we do interest rate wise affects other economies, everybody. And most debt is denominated in American dollars. Okay. So now the interesting thing that happened is we came out of a financial collapse. These other countries are like, wait a minute, you are the only country that can print your way. We're the only country that can print our own money to buy our own debt, to get ourselves out of trouble. We're the only country that can do that. So imagine you're Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. You're looking at America that just came out of a housing collapse where none of the banks were being regulated. You're like, that's not fair. So they came together. But the weird thing is, at the exact same time, Bitcoin's inception was created. Okay. So you have this Bitcoin that was created by a pseudonymous person, Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay. Then we're going to fast forward to 2012. So then we get to 2012. There was a couple things that happened. The FOMC was created, the Future Oversight Committee to regulate non-bank financial institutions. The Bank Bail-In Committee was created for some reason in 2012. Okay. Obama turned on the printing machine full blast, and the 43rd Treasurer of the United States, Rosie Rios, was told to reduce coin and cash usage. And she was the last person to sign the $100 bill, she said. So there's all these three major things that happened in 2012. Now remember, Bitcoin's kind of cruising along. It's building up. It's everybody's like, what the hell is this? It's fake. It's a fraud, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, Rosie Rios said she couldn't reduce coin and cash usage because she said you need a shock to the system to change consumer behaviors. So people were using cash, like you can't reduce it, right? So the economy's booming, the printing machine's on full blast. We're in a low interest rate environment. Currency is devaluing. And then we hit 2020. Globally, the whole world goes through a pandemic, which changed consumer behaviors. Okay. 2017, BlackRock, Larry Fink, JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, both tell you that it's used for money laundering. It's a fraud, complete fraud in 2017. I was in banking at that time. You're a criminal if you sold Bitcoin. You'd be fired if you talk to people about Bitcoin. Okay, let's fast forward to 2023. All of a sudden, the largest asset manager in the world, Larry Fink, BlackRock, switches his tone. He said, I made a mistake. It's a flight to quality. Okay, 2023, we printed more money than in history from 2020 to 2022. We printed $23 trillion. Okay, America's in a free fall financially, right? We have more debt than we have income. And now all of a sudden, Bitcoin becomes this flight to quality. That's his words. And they created what's called a Bitcoin ETF. But isn't that interesting? It was created in 2009. And Bitcoin, this is really interesting. People need to understand this. Bitcoin supply, 94% of it is gone. There's only 6% left. Within the next 116 years, they're going to mine 450 Bitcoin a day. Once it's gone, it's gone. Then all of a sudden in 2024, in the presidential election and campaign, it's now a Bitcoin campaign, pro-Bitcoin, pro-crypto. What happened? All of a sudden, it just became crypto is not a fraud anymore. No, Bitcoin's inception, I believe, was created because it is something that they knew that the financial system was in a free fall. It was an absolute free fall. We have more debt than we have money in the system. That's a fact. America has over 100% debt to income ratio. The G7 now has over 100% debt to income ratio. Jerome Powell, the head of the Fed, said this is unsustainable. We cannot sustain. We're at 35 trillion in debt. So the only way to fix the system is two ways. You can print more money and monetize more debt, which is going to it's going to go deeper. If you monetize more debt by lowering interest rates, we're going to go into hyperinflation. But there's this thing called Bitcoin, and it happened at the Bitcoin conference. So my tinfoil hat came off at the Bitcoin conference. I was like, JV, you were right. So now their campaign is creating a bill to bring Bitcoin into the treasury of the United States. Now, America owns the most Bitcoin, just so people know. If they pull Bitcoin into the treasury, it's a risk-on, risk-off asset. This asset performs like no other asset. If they pull Bitcoin into the treasury, it'll continue to go up in value because it has a fixed supply. It will shrink our balance sheet like that. By 2045, Cynthia Loomis said that our debt will be cut in half. So I think because all those facts, I can go much deeper into the logic behind this. I think Bitcoin was created to save the monetary system. Now, people are going to think I'm crazy until I'm not. But why all of a sudden would Larry Fink, the largest asset manager in the world, he's the largest asset manager in the world, say it's a flight to quality, create a Bitcoin ETF. And now your bankers, a lot of people don't realize this. Goldman Sachs, your bankers can now talk to you about Bitcoin. So we're beyond the fact that Bitcoin's not here to stay. We're beyond the fact that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a fraud. What people need to be very careful for, this is the exciting and scary part. We're still in an extremely speculative phase, which allows you to make a large amount of money in a short amount of time. But they need to be careful when regulation comes in, because they are going to smash thousands and thousands of crypto projects that people think are going to be here. So you got to be very educated about this. You got to take your time. You got to understand. So I focus on some of the top, like Bitcoin. I'm a big fan of XRP, which is payment rails, XLM, but I don't want to go into the details with that. But we're not investing in crypto as a get rich quick. I'm investing as a historical transformation in our financial system to fix our liquidity crisis.
All that was started with a question. It just says, how do you recommend people invest in it? And I would probably just tell you, watch. I mean, the intraday trading is amazing. I mean, I just looked now. So I pull out my phone while I was there. It's $635 up right now. It just, every day it's 1,000 one way or the other. The other day it went down 5,000. So it's wild, man. And then they're saying that it's going to be 100,000 by the end of the year. It's just insane. So be careful, people. Just reach out to JV and he'll give you some shorter advice that he just gave you. But I really appreciated the backstory, because I didn't know all that, and I'm in the IT business. So I have two more questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I just wanted to explain that too, because I'm not in it to get rich quick. I'm in it for historical transfer. I'm looking at the infrastructure change. Like, you're in IT, right? IT, AI. Larry Fink says, in order to get out of this economy, we have to grow the economy, which is infrastructure. So our financial system is going through an infrastructure change. IT is going through an infrastructure change. We got AI technology coming in now. So if you can just take crypto out of it, but if you can find innovative companies that are going to change the new infrastructure, you're going to hit some big winners out there. And that's what we do. We look for the winners. So
yeah, look for National Technology Management to go IPO, because we're doing some really amazing things when it comes to automation, AI. That's literally what we're doing with the Heart of Life coaching program. We're fusing our AI and our automation from the IT company and leveraging it in the coaching program, which is totally me. That's what you tell me something's impossible, and I just tell you that only tells me the degree of difficulty, and I'm coming to do it. So
I love it.
Two more
we'll get into it.
Business talk questions, and then some personal questions. We're kind of getting up against it, because I just letting you run, because it's fascinating. Because if you guys are watching this, he's such an unassuming man, and he's sitting here dropping us nugget after nugget of knowledge, and you well spoken and well studied, you can tell. So I'm really happy that you spent the time on Hard Life to enlighten our guests and our audience. I should say our audience. You're our guest, but so. This one is for everybody, the aspiring entrepreneur who's just starting on their journey. What advice would you give them?
Yeah. So I just came off our insurance team call. So I said this to them. I said, decide what is the macro goal. Okay. What is the macro goal? So I will build a $100 million insurance company in 10 years. That's my macro goal. So you can do this as just starting out. Okay. You figure out what the macro goal is. Now, success leaves clues. There's somebody out there in what you're doing that has already done it. If you can get that information or get that knowledge, what you do is you figure out what they did to get there. So take the macro goal, break it down into 12 months, 5 years, 10 years. So what are the people you need, the resources you need, systems and processes you need, and then reverse engineer it all the way down to the daily activities you need to do, and focus on that is detailed and as present as you can be. Instead of chasing, okay, so that's the macro, and then you figure out the day. So I know on a daily basis, and when I started doing this, my success just ramped up. So I know on a daily basis how many posts I need to do, how many meetings I need to have, how many people I need to talk to, how many agents I need to bring on board on a daily basis in order to get to a $100 million company. So instead of just like getting caught up in this big macro, that's what I was doing. That's why I was spinning my wheels. I was like, well, I want to build a 7-figure company. It's like, well, I haven't even built a $10,000 company yet. So I figured out what it takes to build a 7-figure company, went to Alex Hormozi's program, and he broke it down into the daily things that I need to do. And that's all you have to do. And then lastly, be authentic as humanly possible.
You forgot one thing, bro. What the consistency. You gotta grind and bring it. And I gotta tell you, it makes it so worth it. But having said that, I gotta ask you a question, and I'm gonna look you right in the eye when I ask you this question. Because I'm gonna be able to tell if you answer it authentically, like you just said.
I love it.
Are you happy?
Oh, happiest man. I'm the richest man in the world.
But when you say rich, you don't even mean financial, and I love that answer.
No,
Thank you for answering that. That's going to deep. What's been the most rewarding moment in your career so far? Not in life, in career.
Oh man, I got chills when I said that. Most rewarding moment in my career so far is to see. Well, there's a lot of different moments. Is to now see it moving from me to my team members buying their first homes. We just had a team member that's actually moving in today. So like buying their homes, to, multiple people buying their dream homes, buying a lake house, like all these different things like that. That brings me joy. That's my number one accomplishment, is switching from this selfish, and being honest, in the beginning it was all about me, to now selfless. And that's the biggest joy I've seen, is now building companies. That's why I say I want to build $1 billion ecosystem, because I can see the joy and the freedom and all the things being provided. So seeing my team buy their first homes, create a family, be able to pay their bills, travel, those are the things that bring me the most joy.
We're birds of a feather, man, flock together. I love it's much sweeter when my work family does something over me. I think it's the best thing in the world. How do you stay motivated and inspired in your daily life?
Oh, my kids, man. My kids, like I just look at them every day, and it's like, I'm just so grateful. Number one, that I have such a beautiful relationship. My daughter's 20 now, and I put her through hell when she was a little girl. Looking at her every day and seeing the beautiful lady she's become, and seeing my 8-year-old son, and knowing that every action I do, not what I say, but every action I do is going to be his future as an adult. That's what inspires me every day.
What hobbies or activities do you enjoy outside of your work besides studying how to win and make money?
I travel to Peru quite often I enjoy doing plant medicines. Like, it's something that's part of my ecosystem. Ice baths, saunas, HIIT training, anything, boxing, anything that kicks my ass. That's my hobby.
So, and has the leg healed?
Yeah, I still can't run properly, but I mean, from where I was to now, I'm like so grateful. I got a amazing a trainer who, once I got him on board, his name's Sterling. But I went from torn quad to not being able to walk, to being able to walk again, to now boxing. And so, my hobby is, it sounds weird, but anything that kicks my ass, man.
Wait, how big are you? What's your height and weight?
I'm not that big. I'm 5'8", 217.
Oh, we're the same size. I'm 5'9" and 225.
Yeah, I'm a thick guy.
Two tree trunks.
Yes. Yep. It's funny. The funniest thing I ever get when I travel, everybody's like, damn, you're a lot shorter than I thought. I get that. I mean, it's almost like they can't even stop from saying it. I guess I look tall on camera. Maybe because I have longer arms or something. But I mean, it's the funniest shit ever. People are like, dude, I thought you were a lot taller. It's like they almost can't not say it. It's really funny, man.
Yeah, I'll be in there. I'm glad you said that, because I did think you were taller. So when I see you, I won't be surprised, because I got to make some. I've got a couple podcasts I got to hit out in Arizona, so I'll make sure and look you up. But two quick questions. It's if you could have dinner with any historical figure or prominent person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Yeshua, Christ Jesus. I spend all my time with him every day, man. If I could meet him, holy cow, Jesus.
What would you ask him?
Am I on the right track?
Oh, all right. I'm going to jump in. Yes. I call myself the chosen one. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, you are on the right track, because where you are is where you're meant to be.
I love that.
And you've been on the Heart of the Life podcast, so you're winning in life, bro. Let's bring this thing home with, tell me what it means to be harder than life.
Harder than life, man. What it means to be harder than life than when you can be joyful when it's not working out. That's what it means to be harder than life. I mean, when everything's fucking falling apart and you can't pay the rent, and we've gone through all this shit. The 19% accumulation is when you can come into work and smile and still put on a smile. That's what it means to be harder than life. It's easy to be happy when it's going well, but to be harder in life is to be joyful when it's not going well.
That's what I said. You talked about peace at the very beginning. And I said, to be at peace is to have a calm heart, no matter what's going on. I just love that. So, brother, I love you. If there's anything I can do to support you, you have my number. Reach out anytime. This has been a blast. But your brain, I had to write things down. You saw me looking down, write things down so I could keep up with you. I'm like, I'm a pretty smart guy. You had me going. So, guys, thanks for playing along. Thanks for coming on. Be sure to follow Coach JV, and man, he's gonna make you money. So,
thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, love you guys.
More info. Until next.